All right, it's Friday. Fiverr Friday is in the house. We are back. It is the last day of January 2020, the 31st. Welcome to A VO's Journey. My name is Anthony Pica. This show is all about helping the new and upcoming voiceover artists grow their business and sidestep all of the crazy things that I seem to step on. Well, I tell you what, I am ready to dive in. I've got my coffee, I've got my pencil for no good reason. I just have a pencil, and yeah, there we go. We are ready. I'm going to talk today, too, about pricing. That's right. I'm going to talk about pricing because, you know, it's pricing. Okay, I want to welcome everybody from Instagram. What's up? Squeaky Wolf, B-Dog45. And then I want to welcome people from YouTube, Twitter, as well as Facebook. It's good to have you guys here. If this is the first Fiverr Friday that you've attended, what you do is I give a little spiel about whatever is on my mind, and then you post questions in the chat box, and I do my very best to try to answer them for you. So go ahead and start getting your questions ready now. On a side note, though, there is a delay, about 20 or 30 seconds or so. So, while we're waiting for that, if you haven't yet, go ahead, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. We are I think we were like at 798 subscribers. So we're super close to 800. And as you know, my first real big goal was to get to 1,000 subs on YouTube. So I really thank you. It's been growing tremendously, as well as the Facebook group has been growing amazing. Twitter has been doing great, and Instagram. I want to thank all of you. You guys are the fire that keeps me going. So thank you. All right. So I want to talk about pricing, and you might be like, whoa, there's a bag that you're opening there. And I am, because I've been, over the last couple of days, and especially today, I've gotten more than a couple of messages as well as requests for my advice on whether, or not you should raise your prices on Fiverr. When should you raise your prices? How do you know what to charge, et cetera, et cetera? And that's always a big question. And I always start out by kind of explaining the idea behind, in my personal opinion, on behind why Fiverr, how Fiverr's kind of changed the mindset of a lot of people when it comes to charging for voiceover or charging for, a service in general. And the way things used to be, or the way, and they are in a lot of places still with voiceover, but I think we can agree that things are changing about how we are charging. And the big thing here is I want you to think about voiceover and in general, the idea of taking a service and turning it into a product. See, that's really the whole key to this thing, and that's the whole key to what Fiverr's tried to do and what successful service-based businesses have done, is they take a service, all right? Like, for example, we take voiceover, and as you know, it can be an extreme challenge to grow and scale our voiceover business because it is one person doing it is us doing it alone, and if it's not us running it at the helm, like negotiating with clients, doing the revisions, actually physically doing the voiceover work or our voice, then our business doesn't grow and it falls apart. However, if you take our business, any business, but in this case voiceover, and your goal is to turn it into a product so that you can scale your business beyond just you, okay, beyond just you, then you have to start to think about, well, how can I scale? How can I productize an actual service? Well, one of the big ways that you do that is you start by putting systems together around that service that never change, that stay the same all of the time, and that are easily understood and repeatable. All of these things go into creating a system, right? So, and in this case, productizing our business. So Fiverr has done that by taking the general voiceover idea and turning it flop-sided, and let me explain why. And again, this has to do with pricing mainly. But in our industry, right, how we would normally work is we would be hired by an agency or a company, and we would be paid a certain amount of dollars per hour to record, right, to go into a recording studio, or even at our house or at our home studio, like maybe $50, $100, $200 an hour or so, whatever the length of the recording that the place that was hiring us felt like they needed us, right? Then we would record our work with them. As that ended, all right, there would be, we would then license the work to them for a specific amount of money for a specific amount of time, right? That's how it works, unless they wanted to buy out our work. So they had in perpetuity for, forever, right? So that would be how it works still, but it's changing because of sites like Fiverr, where Fiverr is taking word count and using that to determine a price. And then instead of having licensing, they are just pretty much, now you can decide to do licensing on Fiverr as well. And by the way, if you don't know this, Fiverr does have a whole division dedicated to finding people who are not doing what, like taking your work and, using it without your permission, without purchasing the exact rights. But basically, Fiverr said, you know what, instead of all this licensing, because it varies, it's so different, it's so difficult to, put this into a consistent understanding for a market, for a world market, we're going to just say there's going to be a buyout of the work. Okay, one is for non-paid channels and one is for paid channels. And by that, I mean non-paid, meaning that you can, use our voiceover work for, anything that you do not have to pay for advertising, like a post on your website, or, you post it on your Instagram stories, but it's your account. You're not paying for ads. However, for broadcast rights, the Fiverr, that is where we are paying for advertising, where a company pays to run ads and so forth on TV, on radio. Now, you get to set that price. But the thing is, as well is what people don't realize, on Fiverr, those are also multiples. See, when someone goes to Fiverr and they go to buy a voiceover, right, they look down and they say, okay, well, if I want to buy the broadcast rights, it costs $50. Right? But if you actually click on the drop-down menu, depending on what level you are, there are different offerings. So, and it's supposed to be based on your word count or the number that you're offering. So, for example, I might say $50, but then it goes up to $100 or goes up to $150 if you order more words. See, so this is something that most people don't know, all right, that they don't actually do that, because when people come to the site and they purchase and they buy broadcast rights, a lot of us just send them the bare minimum rate of the broadcast rights as well. So, for example, if I have 150 words is one order and someone orders 450 words, right? So that's kind of like 3 orders, because you got to remember, Fiverr was set up as a, specific like gigs. Like you purchased 1 gig, right? Like 100 words for $10. That would be 1 gig. And it used to be where if you wanted 200 words, you'd have to buy 2 gigs. So everything stacked on each other, right? So like if you bought $10 gig and then you bought a $15 commercial rights, if you bought more, it would stack. So if you bought another gig for $10 and for $15 commercial rights, it would go up to $30 and then $20. So then it would be $50, right? If you're following with the math, instead of $25. But the new system, how they set it up, people can go in, and just simply put in the word count and get what they need. But at this point, when they go down to hit commercial rights, they just click the box, but no one ever goes over to the side where it shows the price, hits the little down tab, and sees the different multiples. All right? You might not even have realized that either, or you might not have understood why it's there. Okay? And so anyways, this is again another thing that Fiverr has done to transform our industry through Fiverr to try to get people to understand how this all works and to make it easy so someone can quickly. Here's another thing. Fiverr touts, right, that it's 15 minutes or less from the time someone comes to their site and places an order. I mean, that's incredible, right? So that means that they need to have that speed because, as we know, the longer someone lingers, the more likely they're not going to buy, right? So they put all of that into this idea of selling service as a product, like you go to Amazon and buy. And it's being very successful for them. But when we look at our pricing, we have to remember, and in this case, understand the history of our industry and what's happening and what's changing so that when we go ahead and do things, we understand that the base rate is just a small part of the overall money we should charge on Fiverr. And understanding that will help you realize that if you charge $5 or $10 for 100 words, right, that is not the whole package of what you should be charging or thinking about and relating that to your customer, okay? However, I do want to address this idea about your prices and raising your prices and understanding when to do it. And here it is. When there was a really cool article put out, and it was shared to me this morning by Will Stoff about another top-rated seller who's also helps out people with Fiverr. And I was very impressed with the article, very well read, written, and it said some really great things about the price differential. And when you are pricing your work, think about where you price depending on your competition as well. And if you follow business at all, you know there's an old adage that says, you know, when you start a business, you should always be either the most expensive or the cheapest, but never be in the middle. Because if you're in the middle, right, you're just like everybody else. Okay, but here's the thing. Fiverr has done, and I believe in that to an extent, but Fiverr's done a few things, and we live in an age where that only works, in my opinion, if you are visible. Because remember this, it doesn't matter what you charge if no one sees you, right? It doesn't matter what you charge if no one sees you. So you have to play the game to get seen, all right? But anyway, so just understanding that is important. Now, here's another thing. Because we live in a world where we have to have reviews now, we all expect to have social proof. And if you don't realize that, just think about your own purchasing habits. You have to get reviews. Reviews help you and help people say, okay, I trust that this person's going to do a good job. Look at, they've got all these reviews of all these happy people who said these incredible things about them. I feel confident to pay them what they're asking. Okay? Right? That's important. However, if you are just starting out or you're trying to get going on that platform, you don't have the luxury of all of that. You don't have the luxury of a reputation. Okay? And if you don't have that luxury, you have to do what you have to do to get noticed. But note that pricing is there to help you get work to build yourself up to where you want to go. So if you start at $5 or $10, that is not where you end. That is not forever. And I'll say it this time to you, and I give you this advice from the bottom of my heart, and I follow it 100%. Okay? You never add a show until all the other ones are sold out. It's an old theater thing, right? So, in this case, you don't raise your prices until you are so stinking busy that you have no other choice but to raise your prices. Okay? That's how normally it would work anyways in any other industry. All right? And here's the thing, and this is why you do that. Let me give you context behind it. Because as you raise your prices, and by the way, never raise your prices more than $5 at a time. But as you raise your prices, you are going to find that there are going to be some people who will no longer purchase from you because they were purchasing under a certain amount of budget, right? And once you raise that, they're not going to be able to afford to work with you anymore. Correct? However, if you wait until you are slammed, And I mean, you can't do any more work. You're working your job. You're doing Fiverr or you're doing your voiceovers for 5 hours, and you're getting 2 hours of sleep, and it's killing you. And you've got a whole load backed up. You're so busy you can't even breathe hardly. Well, then what you do is you raise your prices by $5 increments, so that you can handle a few of those customers falling off. You will make more money as you raise your prices, only if you have the amount of a customer base that is coming in from your search rankings on Fiverr to handle the loss of the other ones. I have tested this time and time again. I have got business. I have lost tons of business. I've done this over and over, and I'm telling you, please follow this rule. Okay, but I will say that I do believe all of us, our end goal is to try to raise our prices. Okay, and I'm not talking about we're not offering a fair value to people, because I believe we are offering a fair value to people. All right, but I'm saying that I know how hard it is to do what we do. You know how hard it is to do what you do. And we want to slowly raise our prices based on demand. That's solid economics, right? Based on demand, supply and demand. When the demand is really high, okay, we need to raise our prices to compensate, because we cannot handle all of it. So we have to make sure that we are able to handle the people who really, really, really want to work with us. Okay? All right, so I know I talked for like 15 minutes there, so I apologize. But hopefully that gives you some ideas of where you stand with pricing, and when I, recommend and talk to people about what they need to do, when they do it, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so this is the time where you go ahead and start posting your questions, thoughts, and let's see what we've got going on. I'm going to start over on Instagram. We've got Wolf Creek Audio says, it seems like a shift is occurring on Fiverr even since we joined in August 2019. Absolutely. The shift is occurring because Fiverr is doing an incredible job of reaching out to more and more businesses. And just like us in our businesses in a branding idea, the more recognizable you become, the more steady you become, the more reliable you become, the more your brand will grow, okay? And it will reach more people. And when it starts to reach more people, you will be able to start charging more, okay? So, that is the idea, and it is changing. It is changing. There's more and more high-profile people coming to Fiverr when it comes to the voiceover industry, as well as other industries. Fiverr is, it's funny. I mean, it's not funny, but when you've got a lot of money, things can change. And Fiverr has done an amazing job of the company of pairing up with big names and brands across the world. And, they're changing. Prices are going up. People are making a lot of more money. All right. I missed your previous comment. All right. I must have. Sorry about that. All right. So let's head on over. Hopefully that I agree with you, Wolf Creek Audio. Okay. Let's see. We've got Big Jim Flip. We on YouTube, we've got Greg. What's up? John on Facebook. Samir on YouTube. Brad. What's up, Brad? Matt C. My man. We got Heath. Hello. Good to see you. We got Curse Leisure. Flip on YouTube. John. What's up? Jeremy. Hey, buddy. Donna. We've got Andrew James. Okay. Important question. Here we go. First question on Facebook. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a wood? Yes. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Andrew, I think he's referring to possibly I produce some courses on voice acting as well, and I love my fun warm-ups that I do, and those were one of the warm-ups that I included. So either he knows that and he bought the course, or he just randomly put down the woodchuck wood. So good job, Andrew. That makes me smile. Let's see. Lola, what's up? Rainy Vancouver. Good gracious. Where's the snow, people? Let's see. Lola, good morning. Oh, yeah. Double tapped on that one. All right. Richard says, what's up? What's up, man? John says, most businesses charge 3 times the cost to make a profit. Yes, that's true. That's why, I mean, studying business is important, right? Because you need to understand, but at the same time, John, and I know that's absolutely true, especially in the retail market as well as the restaurant market, because I've owned and sold restaurants as well, so that's definitely something that I know, but it's also why that is, right? What is the profit you're looking for? How much cost does it take you to run your business? Right? And we've talked about the pricing and how to price your work, not based on what everyone else is doing, but based on actual numbers and other videos that I've done about how you actually physically price your work, like the cost of your time, the cost of running your business, the cost of everything, right? And then what you want to make profit-wise, okay? I mean, there's a way to do that. All right, say Leela. What's up, Leela? Hi. So could it be better to have a lower commercial and broadcast right if you have a lower word count as your base? Absolutely. Absolutely. But just note, just like what I said about the idea here is that, you are, you're going to live and die by how well you explain it to your customer as well. This is everything. And I use my requirements page. I use my description. I use my FAQs. I mean, I just say it over and over and over again in a nice way because we want to work with these people. But I continuously remind them what it is, why they need it, all right, and what they can and cannot do if they do not have it. And then specifically on the requirement page, I have a yes or no, so they have to say yes or no. And by the way, if you add that on your requirements page, meaning that you say like, if you need commercial rights, click, and then you add, it says multiple answer on your requirement page, and you put yes and no and save that. It actually puts bubbles that they can click yes or no. They have to, and then make sure that they have to click it. This is the requirement section when you're filling out your gig. If you do that, that is the only section, if when they place an order, that shows up on the gig delivery page. Like when you get the gig or when you get the order and you look at it, we open it up and you see like it has the script and the description that we put there. But if you add that other stuff to the requirements, it will literally say, do you need commercial rights? They have to physically click yes or no, and it is recorded so that it triggers in them an idea that, okay, it's recorded, it's documented that they did not choose commercial rights or broadcast rights. I have seen people charge very little for broadcast rights and commercial rights. People charge a lot for broadcast and commercial rights. I like to stay in the middle of all that, but that's just what I do. So if you are charging less amount, it might be useful. My suggestion is always, because your client base is going to be different than mine, test it out. But whatever you do not leave something set on your site, like on your gigs, if they are not working. I see this all the time. People try something new and then they just forget about it, or they leave it there because they're like, well, it's going to take a year. No. Don't leave your stuff active on your Fiverr gig for more than a couple of weeks if nothing is happening. Change it up. So, yeah, but Leela, I like the idea of trying that out and see what happens. And if you see an uptick in people purchasing it from that, and you're raising your average selling price, because your average selling price does affect your rankings and how much you're being seen on Fiverr, then that will help. Okay, and that's a good idea. All right, but you have to test it. Absolutely. Good question, Leela. Christopher Marsh says, I've got an order where the delivery time is about 8 hours now. The customer didn't purchase commercial rights, and I was waiting for them to do so. Should I deliver anyway to avoid being dinged? Christopher, great question. I will tell you exactly what I do. Okay? The downside, as we all have found out, or if you're just getting on Fiverr, you will find out. The downside to all of this is that Fiverr and the customer can, really hurt our rankings when we are just starting out. And they can do that by leaving a bad review. They can do that by, trying to cancel the order. And that all dings our count and lowers our ratings. So because of that, we are in a way, always in this mode of, I need to deliver the order. I need to get them to approve it and move on and get the review and get out of there. I mean, that's, we can get into that mindset. But here's exactly what I do. I deliver the order, okay? And then at the same time, right before I deliver the order, I go ahead and send them the extra and let them know and said, hey, thank you very much for your order. I have finished it for you. It is attached here. Please make sure that you purchase the commercial rights or broadcast rights because you won't be able to use the voiceover to promote your business in any way. Thank you so much. All right. Take a screenshot of that and then send it. If they do not purchase the rights, okay, you can always, but you're going to have to find proof. But if you go to Fiverr, this is what I love. If you go to Fiverr and you go down to their intellectual property claims, it's on the bottom under the About section. If you click on that, because I'm pulling it up right now, all right, it's the intellectual property claims, DMCA, trademark infringement. You can report claims of copyright infringement here. And it goes through, it lists what you need to do, what they all are, and it gives you a place to submit the email address to Fiverr to submit it for the complaint and to get in contact with a representative, okay? And if you have fears about that and it's worth it to you to go after them, then there you go. I mean, Fiverr has provided that for you. Now, I have not ever been in that situation yet to where I felt it necessary to do that because I've kind of felt like my time, at this point, I I've not wanted to spend the time hunting down and tracking all these things because we work with people all over the world and different countries have different laws. So, you got to understand that too. And we talked about that, I think, last Friday or maybe earlier in the week. But that's another challenge. So, but that's there for you if you need it. Okay. But like I said, deliver the order, be very happy, but also make sure you let them know, hey, I've attached the, you have to add the extra and then have the extra is there. Please go ahead and pay it if you'd like to use this for promoting your business. All right. John, no need to apologize. Phil, darn, I'm late. It's all right, Phil. Ben, what's up, Ben? My man with the plans. Susan, hi, Susan. Susan and I have been talking a lot. Hi, Susan. Thanks for the Fiverr course. You bet. Matt, how often should samples and demo reels be updated on your gigs? Great question. So I always live by this rule of thumb. If you want traffic and you're not getting enough traffic, you need to change around your title and your tags, as well as making sure all of the main keywords that you are focusing on are in your description. If you are getting traffic, but you are not getting orders, right? Like people are coming to you, but no one's ordering, you need to change around your demo. Okay. By the way, if you are also not getting enough clicks and stuff, you might want to think about changing around your profile picture. Okay. Or your video. By the way, also, here's another thing. Make sure that you're offering a video. And remember, the video doesn't have to be video footage. It can literally be your picture, a still of you, a professional headshot with your name, said voice actor. And then, you just add the music underneath so you have a video of people. And the reason why that's important is because when people click on Fiverr and they go and they look at everybody on the screen before they click on somebody, if you upload a video, they can click and listen to you right then and there, as opposed to having to click through. A lot of times, if you don't have a video, people won't actually even click into your gig and you'll lose way more business than other people people are getting because they have that little extra thing uploaded to their file or to their gig, okay? So just remember that about video. Fiverr says it's about 40% difference in business. So that's a big thing. Okay. Matt, I will say one more thing. If you are just starting out and you're trying to get more business, add more gigs. And you're going to add more gigs. As a level 0, you get 7. As a level 1, you get 10. As a level 2, you get 20. And as a top-rated seller, you get 30. Those are that many gigs you can add. And you're trying to find the cracks that you can get, into that doesn't have as much competition. Out of bounds. What's up? I like that. Out of bounds. Eric, what's up, Eric? Susan, did you raise your prices before you were granted top-rated seller status or after? Great question, Susan. It was before. I was accepted into the Fiverr Seller Success Program. And by the way, you get accepted into that program by an email. Like they send it to you. There is no application. You actually can't even really find any information online. It's like a thing that was originally started for pro sellers. Okay, to help pro sellers in order to help them sell more, get their accounts up to par and everything. But then Fiverr extended that to top-rated sellers, etc., or high selling voice actors or people on Fiverr to help them make more money. So as a level 2, I was sent an email, selected into this program, and I was granted like a Fiverr Seller Success Coach. And I talked to this person regularly every month, and they would just coach me through different ways to make my account better. And one of the biggest things that I did to get to top-rated seller was I had to raise my prices because part of the algorithm is average selling price. Now, the algorithm changes a lot, and they do that on purpose. They do that so, one, we can't figure it out, and also because they're always trying to, just like Amazon or YouTube or all the Google, they're always trying to find the most optimized way to give people what they're looking for, new technology, etc. So in this case, right, your average selling price is really important, okay? It's really important. And the higher average selling price you have, the better. But do not mistake this for you raising your price super high and you have like, a huge selling price, like $200 and some dollars, but you're only doing like one voiceover every 3 months, right? I mean, you've got to have, there's more than just the average selling price, but that is a component. So I had to raise my prices, Susan, and I had to raise my average selling price. Because because at the time when I was working with my Fiverr Seller Success Coach, I said, look, I'm so busy, but I'm not making any more money. I don't know what else I can do to become a top-rated seller because I went through it a couple times. I'm like, I'm not getting it. And then we went through a series of different things to do. I did them all, and I became a top-rated seller. So, and I did raise my prices even more, too, after I was a top-rated seller. All right, let's see. Leela says, yes, I really got mine more detailed after listening to a video Will Stoff did. Do you also explain that they need to order those rights based on word count? Leela, I would love to experiment with that. I do not currently. And because when you do that, or when you open up the drop down, it only lets you go to a certain amount. It doesn't actually follow the words, so they have to specifically pick those as well. But I think it's probably a good idea for me to even mention that too. And I do have people who will come in and order it correctly, but most of them do not. And I do not currently do that, Leela. But that is a great idea. Let's see, Graphics Gramp, what's up? I had somebody message me on Fiverr today asking me to make a threatening phone call to their ex-husband. That's awesome. That's crazy. Oh, did you do it? What did they want you to say? That's funny. That is funny. Okay, let's see. Is there anything over on Instagram? Let's see. We got BDoggy45. Does Fiverr do anything about repeat gigs, or is it okay to have two similar gigs? All right, so for repeat gigs, Fiverr clearly states in their terms of service you are not supposed to have any gigs that are exactly the same. However, I built the back of my business on split testing. trying to figure out how to get more business. So what I would do is, like, for example, audiobooks. I would target audiobook as one word and audiobook as two words. But I would change around the gigs enough. And I know, like, from a scientific standpoint, you've changed a lot of variables. But in my mind, I was still split testing, but I did have to change the gig enough, BDoggy45, so that they would not, get rid of me. So you definitely need to change it around, but I also split tested to find which one. And I found some worked better than others. It was wild. And that's how, and then I would delete the others that weren't working and keep them and keep the ones that were. All right. And that's how I did it. I tried to look you up on Fiverr, but couldn't find you. That's because when I first started on Fiverr, I didn't know. So you have to look up ATP CRE. That's like my email. That was like my email address at the time. And I started that just because those are like, part of like, has to do with initials and stuff. And so that's why. So that's what you have to look up on there. Not my name, because I'm not under my name under Fiverr. Although I wish I was. I wish I had my name under there, because people could find me easier like you did looking under my name. But it is what it is. And you can't change it once you do it. So. All right, so let's see. John says, not sure if this is a stupid question. Let's assume the person contacting you represents a charitable organization. Okay. Can you modify your price so it is more suitable for them? Absolutely, John. It's your business. It's your business. You could do it pro bono if you want. I try to help charity organizations sometimes and not charge them. It's up to you. It's totally up to you. Absolutely. You do whatever you want, John. As in the end, you own it, so you can decide to give it away at any time you want. Let's see. Chris says, Christopher, great advice. Thank you. That's essentially what I plan to do if I didn't get an answer. You're the man. Thanks, man. Also, I found your Fiverr course extremely helpful and valuable. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. All right, Mandy. What's up, Mandy? Fun one this AM. Client just read the base word rate, so when they were then surprised, the offer went up because they also needed commercial rights and subfiles. I offered to budge a little, but no. Yeah, Mandy, that happens. And then you have to make a decision. Do you work with them or not? This is what I do. And now, in all fairness, because I want to be, I'm going to take a sip of coffee for this, because I want to be completely open and honest with you. When I first started, I'm going to take my sip of coffee. When I first started, I kind of just did whatever I could to get business, even if they wouldn't buy it. Because rankings, when you're first starting, you don't have the luxury of traffic and multiple orders. So one bad, one cancellation and so forth can hurt you. This is just the reality of it. So when I first did it, what I would do is I would say, hey, listen, I appreciate your order. And by the way, this is after we've talked about, and they're like, I can't do commercial rights. And I would say, look, I totally understand. Since this is the first time we've worked together, I'll go ahead and let it slide this time because I really appreciate your business. But just know from me, the next time we come back, if we work together in the future, just please remember to purchase it. And that's exactly how I used to do it, because I didn't want them to cancel the order, because it hurt way of all the things. The cancellation can hurt really badly when you don't have enough work to absorb it. Now, honestly, I'd say no, thank you. Or I'd say I cancel it. But because I have the orders now to do that, I do it. But that is not what I did for 2 years. So I want to be clear about that. And also, when you are looking at top-rated sellers and people, you've got to kind of take in consideration where you are right now in your business on Fiverr, because it varies with them, because everything's on averages, right? Fiverr averages it all. So it's all based on how many orders you get, how many, reviews you get, how many just all based on the number of orders, how many responses, your average response time. If you notice, it will change because it's an average. It's a running average. It keeps going. It's like a time block, right? And the time block keeps moving with time. And if there's something over here and it moves past it, it will go off as long as the ones up here are better. Does that make sense? So the same thing happens the other way around. You just have to be aware of that and make that accordingly. So that's what I would do. I would say, sure, that's not how I usually work, but I appreciate your order, and I'll let it slide this time. That's what I used to do. Let's see. Denny, long time lurker. Cool. First time poster. Well, thank you, Denny, for posting. I appreciate it. Just getting started. Where do I get appropriate, relevant samples? Thanks, brother. So when you say appropriate, relevant samples, I'm not sure. Denny, can you maybe give me a little bit more information about when we're talking about samples, we're talking about, voiceover, just 15, 30 second, 45 second voiceover samples. But on Fiverr, the time frame is still around the exact time of a demo. So usually people post post demos on their Fiverr accounts. But if you'll notice, demos, samples, all of these words can and start to come together, right? Even though they mean kind of different things. When I talk about a sample, I'm talking about a shorter or one specific read, whereas a demo would be your normal demo setup where you have like 6 to 10 different voiceover reads with, kind of showing off what you can do with different tones and stuff, okay? So if you're talking about scripts too, I mean, you can either write them, you can pay somebody for them, you can find them online. I've done a bunch of videos on how to do your own scripts. I write scripts for people, which I know I've given some people some scripts. So there's things, so you can do it a bunch of different ways. I think if that's what you mean, I hope I answered it. If not, Denny, don't be afraid to try to make, ask a little bit different, because I'm not quite sure if that's what you meant. Okay, so Mandy, not so desperate, so nice to not feel bad about not being cheap enough for them. Good. But just remember, and I say this too because I want us to also make sure we understand that, these people, and you never know, by the way, but like if you were to go hire someone to do something for you, right, you would always start not knowing anything about rates and stuff, right? You would start with, depending on where you live and what country you're in, about the rates that are paid per hour. Right? And this is where I play the devil's advocate. So, because I know people get so angry when other people are like, you're making me feel horrible and useless. But remember, a lot of people don't even know or understand how hard it is to do what we do and what goes into all this and the equipment and everything. Some people don't even know. I still talk to people who don't even know what voiceover is. Okay, I'm like, you hear it all the time every day, but they don't know. So where I'm going with this is that Fiverr has opened the door to a world that didn't know they could even use professional voiceover talent. Because of that, we're going to get a lot of people who don't even know how to appropriately pay for it. Okay, so just remember that too. But it is a way, you can decide totally not to work with them, and that is totally within your right. And I back you up with that decision. Okay, let's see. John, for a newbie, what would be the best start price? Whew, that's crazy, John. Honestly, what I recommend that you do is just a couple of things. First, you got to determine what you're going to base your price on. Meaning, are you going to base your price on where you what the people on Fiverr are charging, on an average? Or are you going to base your price on what you need to run your business and what you want to make from your business? Okay? If you want to price it based on how much it costs for you to make your business, you take what you want to, this was a perfect example. When I was trying to figure out my price when I first started, and I was talking to my wife, she's like, well, what do you make an hour now? And I was like, oh, well, this is what I make an hour now. And she's like, okay, well then divide that up by how much it takes you to do X, Y, Z, how long does it take you to do 100 words? Divide that and then start there. Cause I didn't know. Right. So it's like, oh, okay. And actually, if you do that, you'll find out that $5 for 100 words is actually not a bad price if, all things equal and fair, you were able to put in an hour's work of constant $5 jobs, right? Because then if that takes up, 5 minutes. Now, here's the thing. Does it take you 5 minutes or does it take you 30 minutes to do 100 words? In which case you have to recognize that. But that's that. On the same token, though, if you go to a platform and you're on Fiverr, All right. You have to understand there's a culture, there's an expectation. And if you want to get business on Fiverr, and guys, this is just the way it is on Fiverr, okay? You have to look at what everyone else is doing and make a decision. Are you going to be around that, close to that, or are you going to be so far on one end? That's up to you. But just know that if you go so far to one end, that most likely people are not going to understand why you are charging that, what you are doing, or even find you, because that's not how the algorithm is set up. All right. And under the search criteria, you know what I recommend you do? I recommend you go on a Fiverr, and when you go to search for voiceover as a buyer, look under all the requirement, like under the things that people can fill out. They can search for price. They can search for level. They can search for accents. They can search for male or female. They can search for all of these things. They can tick a box and it pulls those things up. Look at that. Look who comes up. Look at numbers. You got to go on Fiverr and become an expert with that platform in order to really benefit from it. I spent a lot of time just like going through the platform and checking out everything they're offering and all the stuff that people are doing. And it is what it is, because I make a lot of money from Fiverr, so that site is very important to me. Okay. All right. So let's see. Okay, Out of Bounds says, have a great weekend. Walter, you too, man. John says, does Fiverr customer service help out the newbie account holders with tips, how they do for TRS? No, I'm sorry, John. They do have Learn courses, but the Learn courses are not, none of them are even the, I believe, and I've not taken the course, so all fairness to the gentleman who did it, I don't know, but I've talked to other people who've taken the course, and the course on Fiverr Learn for voiceover does not really talk about how to grow your Fiverr business. So to my knowledge, people like myself and, Will and a couple other people, Bill DeWeese, talk about Fiverr. But other than that, there's really no one else that does it. Let's see. John says, or is that just a perk? Well, not all top-rated sellers are in the program either. So I was put into the program, I was told by Fiverr, because they were extremely impressed by the amazing customer feedback they were getting from all of the work and how many reviews I had for the amount of work I was doing, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why they accepted me into the program. But I know a lot of top-rated sellers. I've been blessed to work with some great voice actors who have helped to become top-rated sellers, and I don't believe they're in the seller success program. So it varies. And plus, they're changing, so I don't even know how many more people they're accepting into it. Let's see. But that's why I'm here. All right, it's 1:47, so I know we got to finish this up. There is some, I know, questions over here, and I'll try to get to them quickly. Does Fiverr do anything about repeat gigs, or is it okay to have two? Oh, wait, I already answered that one. I tried to look. Oh, yeah, I already answered those. Okay, cool. All right, going back to YouTube, remind me what's good conversion rate. Okay, so your conversion rate is how many times someone like clicks on your work, views your work, to how many purchases you get. And this varies, straight up honest with you, mine stays between 1% to 3%. I know some people who are a lot higher and some people who are lower, and it varies. Okay, but I would say, just based off my own experience, right? Of course, you want the highest conversion rate as possible, but 1% to 3%, that's normal. If you even look around on marketing and things like that, how many times does someone have to see something, or how many people do you have to show to before they buy from you? All right. So if you think about, that, then that gives you an idea, of where to go. So I would say anything between 1% to 3% is great. If it's higher for you, wonderful. Okay, you might not be getting in front of enough, like you might have some room to grow because you're not getting in front of enough people, or, you've got tickets to paradise and rock on. Either way, good question. Okay, Beth says, as a top-rated seller, you should ask Fiverr directly to change your username so people can find you. I've done this many times with other companies. Keep asking. Thanks, Beth. I've not tried to ask them to do it. That's interesting. I might do that. Let's see. Mandy. I've had a busy week on Fiverr, and this was just a custom order request, so I felt okay with not budging on the price. It was really low budget. Totally understand. Let's see. Angela, first-time buyers need to help sometimes when they don't select the right extras. I will work with them the first time, but educate them. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what we're doing too. We're helping educate people, right? We're helping educate people. And by the way, the more all of us know too, collectively, right? Imagine this. Imagine if collectively as a group, everybody at the same time, or imagine Fiverr raising everyone's, saying the bottom price wasn't $5 anymore, it was $10. You never know. That could happen, right? Fiverr's a publicly traded company now, and they have to report, they have to answer to their investors, and they've got to make a profit. So you never know. So imagine if they did that, right? Imagine if all of us raised our, like $5 was no longer allowed, it was $10. People would have no choice but to spend $10. Anyways. Let's see. So I feel like the more we educate each other, the better. Okay, Denny, perfect. Ben, I'm at a point and working with clients that mean I have to be pretty strict with rights. It can cost me a lot of money off the site if I am not, but I am more flexible with revisions both before the gig is finalized and sometimes after the gig is complete. Absolutely. John, thanks for the session, Anthony. Oh, absolutely, ma'am. Anthony Fleischman, great name, Anthony. What's going on, man? Was wondering if you heard about the story of VoiceOver Pete. Yes, I've heard about the story of VoiceOver Pete. I have looked into it. I've read about it. I've watched all of his videos. And funny guy. If you don't know about the story, basically what I don't want to talk about it because I don't know everything. But I can tell you this: Fiverr banned this particular voice actor, who is probably the top selling person on Fiverr for voiceover, because of some videos that he was doing for people that were paying him for that were very questionable. I'm not going to make a decision on whether they were right or wrong because I'm not a legal person, but that's why he got banned from it. And they basically broke the ties and didn't even turn around and help him out. We know, working with sites, right, that they can be, very strict. And if they get rid of you, they're not going to feel bad for you, sadly. So that's what I know about him. And there is more to it, but yeah. So I do know about VoiceOver Pete. And he's still going strong. He still works with a lot of people, and I still see him and I still see videos he puts out on YouTube. And I believe he has now a Patreon page where people can donate to him directly so that he can keep doing what he does. He basically puts on like a shirt and tie and does these like voiceovers for video gamers. And that's how he became famous and popular. Let's see. Ben says, one of the best ways to boost in rankings is set an auto reloader on your browser. You will constantly show online with a lot of buyers search for. That's great advice, Ben. Absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yes. Good call. You can do that on your phone as well. However, if you notice, it's like one is on mobile and one is online, because you could be on your mobile and show online, but then when you go on to your internet browser on your computer, you won't be on live. It can be very deceiving. So I like the browser idea, Ben. Let's see. Mandy says, does the percentage of rated orders mean anything? Make a difference. The percentage of so Fiverr likes to see a certain amount. Like mine stays between 65 to 75%, meaning that 65, like 70% of all my orders get rated or are reviewed. You know what I mean? So Fiverr likes to see it above 60%. And if you're not having an easy time getting orders, right? That means that when you deliver your order, you need to ask for a review. Do not ever ask for a specific type of review, meaning do not ask for, don't say, hey, please give me a 5-star review. Just say, hey, it would mean a lot to my business if you gave me a review. Fiverr is perfectly fine with that. They do not want you to ask for a specific type of review. They will get rid of you in a heartbeat. So be aware of that. That'll help your reviews go up. Let's see. Christopher Morris, here's a quick one for Fiverr: e-learning, or e-learning. E-learning. I'm not sure if you mean like, should you do e-learning? Absolutely. Should have a separate gig for e-learning. I think that's what you mean. Brad says, appreciate the info, Anthony. Absolutely, man. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the Fiverr Elite. So we have a group that we meet every Saturday. It's a Fiverr Elite group. And we meet every week, and we do this. We talk exactly about how to grow your business. I review gigs. I answer questions. We work as a group. I think we have over 40 people in that group. It's a lot of fun. I love it. And if you can't make it on Saturdays, there's free replays and everything. So it's a really good group. I'll make sure there's a link, but you can find that at avosjourney.com, avosjourney.com, if you're interested in that. All right, Talent says, greetings once again, sir. What's up, man? Hey, Fiverr Friday, that's perfect. I have questions. Oh, I think we're kind of done, man. I think we've been on here for a long time. Does it seem these videos are getting longer? Oh, my goodness. All right, you guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Please remember to like, share, retweet this, subscribe. We're almost 800, 2 away that when I looked, and then hopefully we get to 1,000 soon, as well as, share this with somebody. Thank you all. Have a wonderful weekend. And again, if you're interested in the Fiverr Elite group, you can either message me, comment below, go to the website, check it out, look into the group, etc., etc. Love to have you. All right, you guys, have a good one. I will talk to you later. Goodbye. Goodbye.